Right now, there are 31 satellites flying over your head at 14,000 kilometers an hour, and not a single one of them knows you exist. GPS does not track you. Honestly, it couldn't if it wanted to. There's no receiver up there listening for your phone. So how does your phone put you on a map within a few meters? Pull the drawing. This whole thing makes sense once you see the schematic. And this drawing runs way more than your Maps app. Planes land with it. Tractors plow straight lines with it. Your bank and your power company quietly set their clocks by it, which we'll get to. And buried in the corner of this schematic, there's one line that Einstein had to sign off on. Skip that line, and every GPS on the planet drifts about 10 kilometers off course per day. Here's the picture most people have in their head. A satellite looks down, finds you, and beams your location to your phone. That picture is backwards. Cross it out. A GPS satellite is basically a lighthouse. It repeats one tiny message to everyone at once. Who I am, exactly where I am, and exactly what time it is. And that's genuinely all it does. Your phone never says anything back. It just listens. That's why GPS still works when you have 0 bars, and why the system can't get overloaded. 1 billion phones can listen to the same lighthouse, and the lighthouse never notices. Your location never gets sent to you. Your phone calculates it. The satellites are the dumb part of this system. The phone is the smart part. So how do you turn a few time-stamped shouts from space into a blue dot? Radio moves at the speed of light, and that message takes about 67 milliseconds to reach you. Your phone checks the timestamp inside the message against when it actually arrived, multiplies the gap by the speed of light, and now it knows how far away that satellite is. Not where you are yet, just how far. One distance puts you somewhere on a giant sphere around that satellite, which is almost useless. A second satellite narrows you down to the ring where 2 spheres overlap. A third one collapses it to 2 possible points, and one of those is floating out in deep space. So your phone throws it away. 3 lighthouses, 3 distances, 1 point on Earth. That math is older than the Romans, and it runs in your pocket. Except the drawing, as I've shown it so far, does not actually work. Look at what the whole thing is resting on. Every one of those distance measurements is secretly a time measurement. Light covers about 30 centimeters in 1 nanosecond. So 1 billionth of a second of clock error means 30 centimeters of position error. A full microsecond means 300 meters. Now the satellites are covered. Each one carries atomic clocks. Your phone has the same quartz timer as a cheap kitchen scale, and its sense of right now can be off by milliseconds. On this drawing, a millisecond doesn't give you a blue dot. It gives you a circle 300 kilometers wide. So here's my favorite move in the whole schematic. Your position is 3 unknowns, X, Y, and Z. The engineers just added a 4th unknown. How wrong your phone's clock is. 4 unknowns need 4 equations, and 4 satellites give you 4 equations. In one shot, your phone solves for where you are and for what time it actually is. Which answers a question you probably never thought to ask: why GPS needs 4 satellites, not 3. And there's a side effect here that's genuinely underrated. Every GPS fix hands your phone atomic-grade time for free. Banks stamp trades with that time. Power grids use it to stay in phase. Location gets all the credit, but the time signal might quietly be the more valuable product. Now for the line nobody labels. This entire machine only works if the clocks in orbit agree with the clocks on the ground. And they don't. They physically can't. 2 separate pieces of physics push them in opposite directions at the same time. First, Those satellites are doing 14,000 kilometers an hour, and special relativity says a moving clock ticks slower. That's a real, measured effect, and it costs the satellite's clock about 7 microseconds a day. Second, they orbit 20,000 kilometers up, where gravity is weaker, and general relativity says a clock ticks faster the farther it gets from a big mass. That effect wins. It gains the clock about 45 microseconds a day. Net result, the clocks in orbit run about 38 microseconds a day fast. Sounds like nothing, right? Multiply it by the speed of light. That's 11 kilometers of position error, stacking up every single day. Skip the correction, and by Friday, your Maps app thinks you're in the next city over. People say GPS proves relativity is real. I'd put it stronger than that. GPS is a machine that would fall apart in one day if Einstein was wrong. And the fix is my favorite fact in this whole video. They don't patch it in software afterward. They build every satellite clock wrong on purpose on the ground. Tuned a hair slow, 10.22999999543 megahertz instead of an even 10.23. Then they launch it, and the speed and the altitude bend that wrong clock into a perfect one. Think about that. They tuned a clock for a place it had never been. Einstein is basically on the parts list. Every honest schematic comes with a failure sheet, so here's ours. Downtown, your dot wanders across the street. That's multipath. The signal bounces off glass buildings, and your phone accidentally measures the echo instead of the direct shout. Indoors, it mostly just dies, and the reason is power. The satellite transmits about 50 watts. That's a light bulb. Picking that up from 20,000 kilometers away is like trying to spot a 25-watt bulb from 16,000 kilometers. Because the signal is that faint, you can jam it with hardware that costs less than a pizza. Truck drivers actually do this to hide from their company trackers, and they knock out GPS for everyone around them in the process. You can also spoof it. Broadcast a louder, fake lighthouse, and a ship's navigation will calmly steer itself into a lie. Your phone knows all of this, by the way, which is why it hedges. It cross-checks the satellites against cell towers, Wi-Fi, and its own motion sensors before it fully commits to that dot. So, read the drawing back. Nothing in space knows where you are. The satellites just shout the time. Your phone does all the math, and it takes a fourth satellite because your phone's clock is junk. And the only reason any of it stays honest is that somebody tuned the clocks wrong on the ground, so physics would tune them right in orbit. Everything's simple once you see the schematic. Next drawing off the shelf. About 99% of the internet crosses the ocean inside cables you could hold in one hand, and ships break them constantly. So why doesn't your Wi-Fi ever seem to notice? That schematic's even better. See you in the basement.